Hi there, Barb Pask tonight. It's Friday evening, if I get this posted tonight. Going to paint a still life again, a subject that I haven't painted ever. Something that I'll show you here, my husband owns, and I've been eyeballing it for a while. Let me show you, swing you around. It is two ducks. I believe they call this a dead mount because of the birds are the way they're mounted, hanging by their feet on the board. My husband is a retired wildlife officer and an avid hunter and fisherman. Hope this doesn't offend anyone. This has been hanging on our wall for a lot of years. He did eat them. He eats everything he kills. When I hit him with a light, I just love the way that head glowed. Isn't that beautiful color? So I've messed around, been mixing up some colors first. Even put a little phthalo blue on my palette tonight. Playing around, trying to get some vibrant, pretty greens. Hopefully I can get that intensity. The trick will be, I've got to get these, wait a minute, I'm not on there. These darks dark enough so that light green stands out. I do like let me tip you up a little bit, the way they're hanging. I do like that, so and I don't care if it looks like they're on a board, but I do want them to look like they're hanging. So let me swing you back around. Going a little bigger tonight. This is an 11 by 14. And because of I'm standing again tonight, and because of the height of this, you're tipped up a bit looking at it at an angle. I played around with a little EZL viewfinder and was kind of sketching them on just to get an idea of placement. Like I said, I want to get that band in it, or it's attached to their feet. So I don't know if I'll use that or not, but I'll probably use my view catcher like I always do and sketch them on with that. 8 by 10, 11 by 14 are the same format. I like both sizes a lot, so we'll be going vertical 11 by 14. So first thing I'm going to do is get a wash on it. Mixed up some orange. That's usually my choice of a color to put a wash on with. I don't know why. If you're new, welcome. Again, my name is Barbara Pask, and I am an oil painter. I use water mixable oils. I really like them. I like because they're not as toxic and I can use water to clean up with. Mostly work from a limited palette, 2 blues, 2 reds, 2 yellows, and a white, of course. And then I do add a couple, transparent red, oxide, and Indian yellow. But like I said, tonight I even threw some phthalo blue on there. I was digging around. I guess I don't have any phthalo green. I wasn't sure what I would need. You put a little Prussian blue on. I had some of that, so I was playing with that and playing with the phthalo. And I'll tilt you down and show you my palette here in a minute. And just thought it would save time, if I could get some of these colors first. I'm painting out of my the box that goes with my easel. I've got this taped on here. Nice thing about toning, I don't know if you tone, when you go to paint the background, you got some color on there, which is nice. Let me show you. I'll get you over here and show you my palette. See, like I said, tonight I actually put some phthalo on there. This is Prussian. And I was trying to get some of these. The green over there is more of a blue green. I brightened some of it up. So playing around, got some darker green. The main thing would be the value, more than anything. Mixed up a darker color. This would be my black, which is ultramarine. and transparent red oxide. That's the darkest color I can get with this palette, but it's ultramarine, cobalt blue, cad yellow medium, cad lemon. This is the Indian yellow I mentioned. My crimson, my cad red light, my white, and my transparent red oxides over here. So I finally broke down and cleaned it up last night. It's usually quite the mess, so that's clean. All right, let's get you back up here and over here. And again, I'm sorry the angle is a little up for you, as you can see, but we'll try to, you know, take some breaks and show it to you fairly often or something. And again, I hope the subject doesn't offend you. I mean, you know, what can I say? You know, I respect my husband enormously, and he's, you know, he loves wildlife and respects wildlife. We feed birds every day. He's a wonderful guy. And he eats what he kills, which is what I believe in. So let's try to sketch it on. Hope that position's okay. Feels a little awkward to me. Not much I can do about it. All right, so we're just going to probably throw some blue, some crimson in, mix up something dark, and I'm going to try to use my view catcher again and get these kind of placed on here. Want to make sure, of course, to get the whole bird, so I don't want to go too low in case, you know, I frame it. I got to think about how low I'd want the bottom of his beak to be, but yet I want that nail in there. Doesn't really look like a nail from here, but it's got that band that they're hanging from. So let's think about where things land. I just, you know, you wander around the house, I do, and look at objects and think how would it be to paint them, and been looking at this for a while. Took a flashlight in there, hit it with a flashlight just to see what would happen to the colors, and that really made me want to paint it. Okay, I can see all right, I'm getting too far down. If this is going to be the head, then his beak's going to be way down here, so let's stop and think. If we don't want to stop his beak here, got to bring his head up more up here. And I can look at the negative space between the two ducks to get this right, hopefully. I think I mentioned I did a show last weekend and was talking to a man the next day about a commission, and I did get the commission, and I think it's finished in there. I'll mail it to him tomorrow and email it to him tomorrow and see what he thinks. Her name is Ruby, sweet dog. Trying to get the proportions right before we go. I'm going to put that down. For me, if I get, you know, one area going, usually I can work off of that. And got some nice shadows. Had some snow today. Woke up to some snow. The schools were canceled, and my daughter's a teacher, so she loves that. First one this year, though. I mean, we've had a mild winter here where we are. And the nail doesn't even show, so I don't know if it, you know, we just run that off even might be better. Boy, light just makes everything. You get it nicely lit and he had a lot of other things mounted to this board that I took off that would have been interesting to paint, but complicated. You know, he had fishing lures across the top of the board, and he had old antique fishing license. Some neat things, but I didn't want to do all that. This is more up in here. Okay, I'm looking at it, see how we feel about that. See if our proportions feel right. If the white band on his neck is about there. See, I got him a little short. More up in there. All right, we're going to start off with the darks, and we'll use a pretty good sized brush here. I think we'll use the one that we started with, that we did our wash with, Rosemary and Company. This is the Evergreen series, which they're a soft brush. And we'll start with our darkest dark. Block those in where we see them. I'm going to try to stay back on the brush. I talked about that in my last video. Try to be overhanded a lot and stay toward the back of it so I can keep him loose. I'd like it to be painterly. That's always one of my goals. You know, a lot of this is not colorful. It's just tones of shades of brown and gray, and you know, the head's going to be the focal point. That green head is gorgeous. I'm just blocking in the darks where I see them. On this wing here, there's some pretty teal kind of color. We might get that with phthalo and white. A lot of people use phthalo and they keep it on their palette. It's a very intense color, and I think you have to know how to use it. It can just take over too, you know. And I'm trying to do them loose. And I'm sure my husband will critique it when I'm done, and it may be too loose for his taste. He doesn't tend to like things as loose as I do. That is probably most of the really dark darks that I see. I mixed some green into this dark mixture. I'm going to try to put in some really dark darks that I see. And again, colors, you judge them by the colors around them. So until we really get it covered, we won't know how things are till we get this orange mostly covered up too. The background is a gray, and that'll work nicely. But for now, I'm going to try not to play with them too much. I'll just try to get them on here, and then we'll, once we get everything covered up, then we'll judge it better. Kind of fun to play with colors like this, though, you know. I don't too often. Well, I mean, as an artist, isn't it what draws us in, color and light? And you can see why I wanted to paint this subject when I lit it up. And without the light on, you know, it doesn't look anything like this. It's just, I should turn it off and show you the difference. You just wouldn't believe it. And the beak is kind of a gold green color. So I think we'll take some of that Indian yellow. Maybe a little more white. I mixed some, as you could see, I mixed some things, but I sure did not mix up everything. I mostly was trying to get some of those greens for the head. To me, that's the most important part of this painting. This might be a subject I want to turn it upside down, take a look at it that way later on. I actually could turn the board upside down if I wanted, and I might do that. See, I like that I didn't do them all. I've got more of a turquoise color here and more of a yellow green over here, which is what he is, and I think that's nice. So let's move on. He's actually got a white band right here. Try to get some of that color off. I think we'll go ahead and do the other guy's head, which is pretty white, but I've got a dirty brush, so that may be enough to kill it. We'll see. believe that's a wood duck and that's a mallard, I think. Interesting colors in them, huh? And I'm going to try to stay with this brush as much as I can. All right, let's move on to the body and we'll come back to the head. Obviously, they don't have any eyes yet. Okay. Don't know why I did that exactly. I'm looking at the shape of his beak down here. All right, let's move on. Wouldn't even hurt to have a bigger brush than this to be doing some of this. Like I said, we're dealing with a lot of brown tones and gray tones. And I'm going to need a lot more paint, I can tell that. Adjust in color, doing it right here on there because that's a little warmer than I've got it. If you watch the last couple videos with Pinocchio, I pre-mixed everything and it sure goes a lot quicker when you do that. There's an Australian guy I've run across here on YouTube. Don't know his name. Maybe I'll get it for you for next time. But he does palette knife painting mostly. I mean, some big, large palette knives. Fun to watch. I watched him do a hat. That was pretty cool to watch. almost like a cake spreader. I've done some paintings completely palette knife, but not too many. It's fun to try new things and something different. Yeah, I thought this might be fun to do a little bit bigger than my usual 8 by 10. Then we may not even get it finished. We'll see how it goes. It's a little too bright for that side. We want to kill it a little bit. When we come in with the background color, we'll, you know, clean up these shapes. Again, the bodies are just kind of a mixture of a lot of grays and browns and exciting colors on their head. Let's move on to this guy. It's fairly light there, that wing. That's the area where I see some of that beautiful blue. Let me just try to throw a little bit of that in there. Take some phthalo blue. Again, I'm going for Impressionism, so we'll see how detailed we want to get. Trying to throw in the color where I see it. Again, these are water mixable oils, and I just tip the brush into the water a little bit. I generally don't put much water in them, though you can. I just choose not to. But sometimes to get them to move, you gotta get a little water in there. His butt's about into there. Catching more light through there. There's a shadow that runs over in here and back in here. And really, we've got a lost edge over there, which is kind of nice. That edge of him kind of goes into the shadow here. It's, you know, my first time trying it. I may be painting it again. Very dark back here. You know, and I might want to change the composition next time, and could do it on different size canvas maybe, so you can see more of the strap, or I don't know. Have to think about it. I'll get some of these shadows in that I see. just all shadow up in there. I'm standing again tonight. I mentioned that just so I get away from it. I mean, if you can handle standing, I think it's the best way to paint. And we don't want to cover up all our orange either, you know. Obviously it's kind of lit from below, so actually from over down in here and up. Let's mix up a gray and get the background covered. And then we can judge things a little better. If you're a hunter, probably seeing all the mistakes I'm making, right? But I'm not, again, I'm not going for realism. That's not what I'm shooting for here. And we'll need this to feel like a shadow. All right, let's mix up a gray. Again, like I said, it's a warm gray color, this board. Okay. Keep it lighter down in here. I'm going to dip it in a little water like I mentioned before so the paint will move. And we want to keep in mind I don't want to cover all my orange. And now this is an opportunity to redefine some shapes like I mentioned. I think what we'll do is I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but I use this thing once in a while. It's by Catalyst by Princeton, and it's like a flexible palette knife kind of thing. Kind of fun to use. Gets the paint on quicker. Won't work for everything, but we'll get some paint on there this way. Then I can move it around with a brush. It's a little darker up in this area. I'm going to switch back to my big brush and push some of that around. so I can work better to define these shapes. A little water again, it's not moving too good. See, if you got the tone on here, you don't have to work so hard to cover up everything. You can decide how much or little of it you want to show. But we'll get it covered and then we can start looking at some of these shapes a little bit better again. You know, this is a shadow here, so I'm going to get into it with some of this color, make it a little more translucent. Same with this, I don't want it to feel so solid. There's some shadow here behind this wing too. Thin that out a little bit too, so it feels more like a shadow. Still using this big brush. If you're an artist, I don't know what medium you work in, but oils are sure fun. You know, I have to decide how much I want to explain things with him, you know. I'm sure my husband won't think I've explained enough. Well, different taste, you know. That's why you got to figure out what you like, and then that helps you decide how you want to paint. You know, what art draws you in. I like Impressionism. I like not explaining everything, as you can tell. That's me. You know, he's got lots of different feathers through here. I mean, you know, how well do we want to explain all that? Looking at that strap that goes up there again. All right, let's think about an eyeball. I've got a little brush out for that. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe we'll go in between. Go smaller, but not small. All right. Looking to see what I actually see from here. You know, it's a little darker, and I see the highlight, which we'll have to put in. The other guy really has an orange eye. The wood duck. You know, I don't know how much I want to explain. That has a black middle. As does that, and then we'll do the highlight again. Okay. Ooh, looking at a variety of things all at once here. Looking at the background. Looking at this shape of this shadow. It dips in there. Dips in there. Trying to determine if I got the shape of that right or not. Let's put a little more detail in the wood duck's beak. He's got some yellow here, up to here. Don't know how we feel about that, but we'll go with that for now. It's dark on the bottom, but it's lighter. Too light. Very dark on the tip. Their heads were probably the most important part of this. I do. Okay, looking around. This just feels like too much of a mess. See if we can define some of these things. This is a wing, the edge of the wing. Really kind of hard to see his tail and stuff. in there. Looking at shapes here. I'm probably going to have to get up closer and get some of the, explain some of this tail. It's a little hard for me to see from where I am. Let's see if we put some definition in there, what that looks like. Try to get it a little darker on the edge so it feels as though it's turning away. I watch a show called Right This Minute, which I like. It's a video show. I don't know if you watch it or not. And they showed a piece this morning where these guys went into an art museum someplace, and this guy took one of his paintings. He'd taken it off the stretcher bars, and then he hid under a stairway and put it back on the stretcher bars, and they found a place to hang it and hung it on the wall, got a picture of it, and left it in the art museum and walked out. I'm sure they didn't leave it up. He said that I guess they tried to get a statement from the museum when it came out later, and they didn't, you know, say anything, but it got him a lot of publicity, and said he's got some commissions and sales, and it was kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, kind of cartoonish. Brave, though, you know, to do that. To get I've always wanted my husband to try painting. You know, it's hard, and you'd like people to appreciate how difficult it is, and And he would paint things he loves like this, and you should paint things you know. This is, I mean, I've been around it all our married life, but I can't say I really know it like he does. All right, I'm looking at, something's bothering me about this, the shape of that. Some variation in there, because there is. I can see this is too, I'm going to wipe this out because it's really more down in here. So let's adjust that. Okay, let's paint it back in now with our black mixture, because it's more down in here. Let's look around here with this dark while we're here. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. I've gotten a few new ones here lately. I really appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, please like and subscribe. I won't bother you in any way, I promise. It just makes you feel like people appreciate what you're doing, and I love your comments. Please consider commenting. Boy, I'm ready for spring. My favorite time of the year. I need that wing to stand out from the background, so somebody's got to be darker than somebody else, so I think we'll make the guy in front a little darker. I'll probably be doing this again. Like I say, I would like to change the composition a bit. I obviously couldn't go any lower, and I kind of ran out of room that way too. I could paint them smaller. I'd like to get more of this hanger on there, I think. I'm having trouble seeing the detail on the tail from here, to tell you the truth. Looks kind of rounded. And as you can see, a lot of the orange is showing, and I wanted that, so, you know, why put it on there otherwise if you're going to cover it all up? Soften up the edge of that shadow a little bit. Imagine painting trompe l'oeil where you had to, if you know what that is, called to fool the eye. I know that feels flat on the top of his head, but it is that way. But we may just round it off a little bit anyway. Feels a little better, I think. Okay. Put a little more of the detail that I see. May not be perfect, but it was fun, and like I said, I'll probably try it again at some point. You know, do it better next time. Put a bit of the texture that I see. I think I ended up kind of squishing them down, so they should have been skinnier, and then I'd have fit them in better. Kind of ran out of room, so that's a drawing error, you know. Yeah, they'd feel better if they were skinnier. But, you know, it's a practice run. First time I've done them, I got to try it, and I'll be doing them again probably. See if I can get the proportions better next time. Bringing them in a little bit. Yeah, he definitely feels too short. You know, the head is right, the chest, the wing. See, this white part would have been, instead of starting down here, would have started more up in here, and his tail would run off. And I guess I could make that adjustment and do it. Should have got it right the first time, huh? Yeah, see, this body still feels a little fat to me. Let's bring that in a little bit. Yeah, that's probably my only complaint, is I squished him down a little bit. And that wasn't my intention when I started out. All right, we're gonna get off here. I was really excited about the head. Those beautiful colors. I mean, I don't get to use things like that too often. But I'm going to try it again. I don't know if I'll try it for you, but want to work on the drawing. I have to think about it. You know, this feels fine to here. The wing starts there. But the wing would have went on up into there, and the tail would actually pretty much be off the canvas. So yeah, if this is here, that's up into there, the wing probably would have went up in there a little more, and that's about where the tail starts. This white part goes up into here. And the tail starts about there and goes up and off. And then there's like two feathers from this part that goes up there. So well, it was fun. I mean, you know, had a lot of fun with the head. I'm going to highlight that a little bit. Okay, well, I'm going to quit. Like I said, I don't quite have his proportions exactly right. Let me back up and, oops, and I'll show you. Again, like and subscribe, please. Comment. All right, there they are. Take in on the head. See, the heads are pretty good. The proportions aren't quite right. I ended up kind of squishing them down, I think. Not terrible, but there's the two actual guys. See, I like that you could see the hanger going up there. And I feel like, especially the guy on the left, I kind of squished him down, I think. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching. Like I say, I'll be doing it again. Maybe not for you, but give it another try. All right. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it so much. And I'll paint for you again soon. Good night.